After 10 years of marriage, the husband entered his wife's room for the first time. He was shocked to find the room spotlessly clean, as if no one had ever lived there. He immediately called his wife, only to find the number was no longer in service. He then tried sending a text, and realized he had been blocked. It wasn't until he saw the divorce papers on the table that he finally understood she was truly leaving him, and it all started with an incident 3 days prior. At that time, his adopted sister had injured his wife. When she was taken to the hospital, her wound required 33 stitches. However, instead of visiting his wife in the hospital, the husband stayed home to tend to his adopted sister's minor scrapes. Throughout the 15 days his wife was hospitalized, he never once visited. When she returned home after being discharged, she unexpectedly discovered the real reason her husband had been distant for 3 years. It turned out that all it took was his adopted sister saying "don't leave me" in Italian to make the husband lose his composure, even dropping the prayer beads he always carried. After realizing his wife was present, he pretended to be calm and walked away. In that moment, she finally understood that no matter how much she had tried over the years, his indifference was because he was saving himself for his adopted sister. Heartbroken and disillusioned, she woke up to the truth. Since her sincerity had been treated like trash, she decided to take it all back. Without hesitation, she submitted an application to move abroad. In just a few days, she would completely leave his world. To avoid raising suspicion, she continued living with them as usual. But one day, the husband suddenly gave his wife a hair clip. The adopted sister, consumed by jealousy, sneered, "It looks really nice." Without even glancing at the gift, the wife accepted it and walked away, completely missing the strange look in the adopted sister's eyes. The next morning, as soon as she woke up, she discovered her carefully maintained long hair had been maliciously cut off. Staring at her disheveled reflection in the mirror, she broke down and screamed. She immediately confronted the adopted sister, demanding to know if she was the one who cut her hair. To her surprise, the adopted sister admitted without hesitation that she had done it, explaining that her school required a craft project and she wanted to make a wig, so she used her sister-in-law's hair. Enraged, the woman slapped the adopted sister hard across the face. The adopted sister was stunned. Since childhood, her brother had always cherished her, and no one had ever dared to lay a hand on her. She immediately called the servants to restrain the woman. The woman declared that she was the true mistress of the household, and challenged them to see who would dare touch her. But the adopted sister smirked disdainfully and asked the servants, "Think carefully who matters more to my brother, his wife or me?" Hearing this, the servants hesitated no longer and pinned the woman down. Watching the woman's furious yet helpless expression, the adopted sister found it laughable. Only then did the woman realize that in everyone's eyes, the adopted sister was the true mistress of the house. The adopted sister sneered, raised her hand, and slapped the woman across the face. Then, assuming the demeanor of the lady of the house, she declared that she was the man's one and only. She immediately ordered the servants to hold the woman down, and proceeded to slap her 100 times, until the woman was spitting blood and passed out. By the time she woke up, her husband was already by her bedside. She had expected him to seek justice for her, but instead, he began making excuses for his adopted sister, saying she was just acting childish and had already been punished. When the wife asked how she had been punished, the man held out a lock of hair and said, "She cut your hair, so I cut a lock of hers as punishment." The woman retorted, "And what about the 100 slaps she gave me? How will you account for that?" But the husband replied, "Her hand is already swollen from hitting you. That should be punishment enough." The wife couldn't help but laugh out loud. His heart had long been biased to an extreme. She wondered how she could have ever fallen in love with such a person. The man accused her of making a scene, and called his adopted sister in to apologize, trying to downplay the entire incident. When the adopted sister entered, she mumbled an apology, but her face was filled with reluctance. The woman simply looked at her coldly and said nothing. The adopted sister immediately pretended to be frightened, throwing herself into the man's arms. She deliberately said the woman looked like she was about to hit her. Seeing this, the man softly comforted her, saying, "With me here, no one would dare bully you." The woman couldn't be bothered to watch their sickening display any longer and told them to get out. Unexpectedly, the man actually complied with her request this time. He added that the doctor had indeed advised her to rest quietly, so they wouldn't disturb her any further. After saying this, he left the room with the adopted sister. As soon as they were gone, the woman received a phone call. She was notified that her visa was ready and she could pick it up immediately. Eager to get away from the disgusting pair as soon as possible, she immediately set out to collect her visa. However, while waiting for her ride, she was suddenly kidnapped. Shockingly, the adopted sister had been kidnapped alongside her. It turned out this was the work of the man's enemy, who held a grudge after the man had ruined his family and destroyed his life. The kidnapper had not only taken them but also strapped timed bombs to them. The enemy planned to blow them to pieces right in front of the man, so he could also experience the pain of losing someone he loved. Soon, the man arrived at the scene after receiving the news. The woman urgently explained that she had learned how to defuse bombs, and begged the man to save her first so they could then save the adopted sister together. But the adopted sister, terrified, pleaded with the man to save her first. After a moment of hesitation, the man ultimately chose to go to the adopted sister first. The woman was stunned, left to watch helplessly as the man frantically worked to defuse the bomb on his sister. Yet, as soon as the adopted sister was safe, she saw that the man intended to go back for the woman and deliberately stopped him. She claimed the bomb was about to explode and insisted on dragging him away. As the woman watched the man she had chased after for 6 years, memories of their time together flashed through her mind. In that moment, her heart finally turned completely cold, and she made a firm decision. From that day on, she would sever all ties with him. In the end, the man was pulled away from the scene by the adopted sister. After they left, the woman struggled with all her might to save herself. At the very last second, she managed to throw the bomb away. When she woke up in the hospital, she was astonished to see the man waiting by her bed. The sight of his hypocritical concern made her sick, but then the man told her that while she was unconscious, he had arranged for a skin graft surgery for her. It turned out the adopted sister's arm had been injured in the explosion, and she didn't want scars. Since the woman's skin tone was similar to hers, they had directly taken skin from the woman's arm and used it on the adopted sister. The woman could hardly believe the man would do such a thing. Furious, she demanded, "In your eyes, am I just dirt beneath your feet?" Perhaps because he had a shred of conscience left, the man actually suggested that, as compensation, he would share a room with her after she was discharged. Little did he know, the woman was only disgusted. She slapped him hard across the face and told him to get out. Once the man was gone, the woman could no longer hold back her tears and broke down sobbing. She never imagined that 6 years of devotion would end in such a way. Soon, the day of her departure arrived. The woman touched the ill-fitting ring on her finger and called the adopted sister over, handing it to her. It turned out the man had always wanted to marry the adopted sister. The wedding ring had been custom-made to the adopted sister's measurements. Even behind the decorative photos in the bedroom were hidden pictures of the adopted sister. The woman handed the signed divorce papers to the adopted sister, asking her to pass them to the man. She stated that she would no longer be involved in their messy affairs. Then, she headed to the airport with her luggage. Just as she arrived at the airport, she received a message from the man. He said he was back from a business trip and had brought her a gift. The woman knew all too well. It was probably just some freebie he picked up while buying a gift for the adopted sister, but she simply smiled faintly and whispered to herself, "Happy divorce. May you be free, and may I be released."